Julius is one of the examples we will be using here moving forward, because I have always warned people against making some stupid mistakes. And if you decide to make a stupid mistake, you cannot blame us. We try to advise you and you cannot be advised. It doesn't matter whether you have money or you don't have money. The dust is constant for people who simp and they are not accepted. If you are an ardent follower of Jenganjero, whether on Facebook or on YouTube, you realize that we are now dealing with the story of Julius, and he wants to buy Esther a vehicle. And one of the reasons why he wants to buy a vehicle for Esther is because Esther has rejected him. Okay? And Esther feels that this is not the right man, and she has a right to do so. In fact, if you get posted here, there are people who will approach you, and the next minute you are going to block them because they are not your type. Yes, they are not your type. And number two, they keep on bugging you with messages: my dear, my darling, my love, the love of my life, have you woken up, my sunshine, my chocolate. The block button is available. You do the necessary. Okay? Others are not your age mates. You're 50, the other person is 25. What are you saying with your son? You just block them. If they continue insisting, if they're not taking advice, if they're not taking counsel, what are you going to do? Absolutely blocking. Okay? So Julius is one man approached Esther. Esther refused. So he wants to use the money to show Esther that he loves her. And Esther is actually struggling. And Esther does not necessarily want the guy. But again, she is thrown into a temptation because the guy says, what can I do so that you can know that I love you? Esther says, I don't know. The guy says, I know. I will buy you a new vehicle. You will be an Uber driver. And now you can hustle for yourself. And the red flag is here because Esther says, unless that vehicle is under my name, give it to me, give me the money, let us go, you pay, it's written under my name, everything, the documents, the logbook will be under my name. And if they're in my name, I can do whatever I want with the vehicle. Julia says, why not? And the guy is telling us as if he's telling us a very nice story. You see, the lack of mentors is one of the depriving menaces we are facing in the 21st century, because the lack of masculine men is actually the real pandemic. The pandemic is not masculinity. No, masculinity is actually very good. Okay? Lack of masculinity is a pandemic because there are behaviors, there are patterns, there are roles of men that can only be directed by men. Okay? There are things you do as a man, and there are things you do when you are not a man. And I am saying this because if you are well guided, you can tell somebody who has a genuine desire. You see, if the man loses it, the family loses it. Okay? If the man is the head and the man loses, that family is bound to lose. So if you have the wrong entry strategy in a marriage, whether you like it or not, you're going to mess up. The next story will be, you gave me that vehicle willingly, we shared some love, and there is nothing you can do about it. So I want you to take this case, for instance. The guy, how old is he? 45. What was he doing for the last 15 years? He was in Gulf, working off. Okay? You have accumulated some money. After raising that amount, after raising the amount, you're here. What are you doing? You want to buy somebody a car so that you can buy that relationship. You buy the relationship. That relationship is dead on arrival. Once the relationship is dead on arrival, you keep on blaming yourself. You blame other people. You become bitter with life. You can even hang yourself if you like. You will sink into depression because we called Esther. Esther says, if I don't like him and he wants to buy me a car, who am I to refuse a gift? As we are speaking, Esther's training how to drive. And the guy is going to pay for the driving school. And we have always maintained desire can never be negotiated. Desire is non-negotiable. And somebody will, you see, this is a person who has not helped his mother. This is a person who has not helped his father. This is a person who has not helped his relatives. He has not built himself as a man. He is not coming from a rich family. He is coming from a middle class average family. Instead of looking for somebody who has the same kind of desire towards him so that they can build a home, we will now use him as an example. You see, some things you cannot blame the devil. I know sometimes Satan is even shocked. Oh, you blamed him for that? At the age of 45, you should be able to make a decision that will live for a lifetime. At the age of 45, you should be... And then the girl he is simping to is just 27. You see that age gap? That girl will be thinking different things in the next 10 years. And even in the next 10 years, she'll still be 37. The guy will be 55. The energy is gone. The energy and the enthusiasm to work. You see that testosterone in men that gives you the urge to go and conquer the world. That is why when you're building a career, you build it when you are young. Build it when you are young. Unless you are lucky like some dudes. You see people like KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken. That guy, Colonel Sanders, who after retirement discovered his purpose on earth. He's just one of the few examples. If you do not use your energy when you are very young, especially for men, nobody is going to rescue you. We will use you as an example days to come. Young men should be guided. You see, somebody could say, oh, Nelson Mandela, became president in his 80s. Remember, this is a guy who was incarcerated for 27 years as a liberation freedom fighter in South Africa. So you think 27 years in prison, he had paid the ultimate price. Do you understand? Before then, he was, you look at Nelson Mandela's profile, he was a liberation fighter. Okay? He was fighting for the independence of the South African people. He became president, yes, late in life, but he had paid the price very early. Did you see his burial? Was it in 2015? Even the likes of President Obama had gone there. Every world leader recognized Nelson Mandela. If you meet a historian who does not grip or does not understand the history of that man, then that is not a historian. Irrespective of where you were born, Europe, Australia, America, Africa, Asia, if you don't know Nelson Mandela, you don't have to be an African to know Nelson. No. The contribution he had towards humankind and the cause of freedom, the liberation and struggle to the gaining of independence is enough. So when we are speaking about somebody who has lost his young years, youth years, trying to please people, trying to get diversionary tactics, we are facing, or we are looking into the face of a loser. So I am warning Julius, because even the woman he impregnated and left in Kenya before he went to Gulf is still struggling. Their child is still struggling. Why go buy somebody who is 27? You buy a vehicle. That person starts Uber business. You hauna form. Hakukuja tina do mingi. Sorry, but at least he will be able to raise. Right now, if you want to buy an Uber car, let's say you want to buy a Vitz, or you want to buy a Toyota Vitz or a Honda Fit, a Mazda Demio, with a budget of around 1 million, 1.2 million, you can get a nice vehicle that is ideal for Uber business, because businesses of Uber don't do well with old vehicles. Even clients are looking at the vehicle. You also want a vehicle that is roadworthy, a vehicle that will not give you problems. You see, good mileage. She atakohoa 1 million, mita moja, and that girl will be gone. I am not a prophet. I don't need to be a prophet to know that. Esther told us she is not interested, but she cannot refuse gifts. Even if it were you, now depending on how you are raised, are you going to refuse a vehicle? They can push for a year or two, but that marriage was built on a wrong foundation. Stop simping, Julius.